think some of the most exciting days of the month is during the time of the full moon. It's the most energetic, and that energy can be for positive or for negative. We find ourselves more emotional, and in these emotions, it seems to conjure up the history of the emotional body from different centers, and then it's like we're playing out this drama, you know, with our emotions and our thoughts and our relationships, and whereas the other days of the month, they're just days where we get up in the morning and we go to work, and then we come home and we do the laundry and we cook and go to the grocery store and kind of the ho-hum. But these 5 days, the 2 days before, the day of, and the 2 days after the full moon, that's the time that we can move mountains. These 5 days are the days that I like to see as the days of transformational living, where we can really make a difference in changing ourselves. I think of the book that Torquem Sardarian wrote, which is The Science of Becoming Oneself. Well, if you're an egotist, you already think you are somebody. But the majority of spiritual people know that they are just a speck in the universe. And to become an identified speck, it means they really have to become somebody. And to become somebody means that you begin to live the potential of your unfolding human soul. To live the potential of your unfolding human soul means that your divine spark is in synchronization with the purpose of your life. Which means if you are in synchronization with the purpose of your life, it means that you are in the process of becoming yourself. See how that works? It's so beautiful. But too often, I recognize that the older we get, and the aging process really doesn't begin spiritually until we're about 26, 27. Since when Saturn's completed its whole cycle, and the moon has completed its cycle and starting all over again. That's when it seems like we begin to discover that we've identified with things that are not real. We identified with old values, the value system that Mom and Dad taught us, society taught us, whatever was going on in that era that we were growing up from birth to age 26 or 27 or 28 or 29, depending on the level of your maturity. But this is the cycle of time. People become stuck, you know, and in that stickiness, they've identified so deeply with what is now, when they're 45 or 50 or 55, old. The old tradition, the old ways, when in essence, evolution is still moving ahead, but we've kind of stopped. So Capricorn is a time to really assess, how identified am I with those old values that I was taught, you know, and traditions I was taught when I was a child. Those crises and events in your life where you are still stuck in that moment. And that moment is now what they call triggers. Whatever causes reactions in you today is the result of that moment when you were growing up that you became very identified with. And so then the trigger sets that moment off and puts you further into where you were identified as a child, unless you're striving. So these 5 days of every month, of every full moon time, is an opportunity to shake loose of your identifications. Now, Capricorn, I particularly really love the energy of Capricorn because it is imbued with the energy of Saturn. And I'm going to be talking more about Saturn today, probably more than even Capricorn. If you have registered in the various opportunities that White Mountain offers you, like to register for the Zodiac newsletter, all of this is free, and it's subsidized by grants and donations of White Mountain, which allows us to offer all of these different aspects for free. Sometimes people don't place a value on anything if it's free, but if they pay $5,000 for it, they're going to read it every month because they paid $5,000 for it. But anyway, somebody did. Somebody paid $5,000 for it, so you can have it for free. Okay. So we offer this Zodiac newsletter. It usually comes out about 5 to 8 days before the actual full moon. And you can start reading about what each full moon energy is all about and how you can take advantage of it for free. For free. Then we have a blog that I write, and this I always remember to bring, something in around the full moon time. Usually it's a takeoff from the Zodiac newsletter, or something else that in the past that I've written about. But so here are two elements that you can begin to understand if you read what that full moon is all about, and then to incorporate it into your life. We also have Meditation Monthly International. Another, you have to pay a little bit of money if you get the hard copy version, but it's beautifully written. It's about Agni Yoga, and you're going to begin to see how Agni Yoga and the fire of this teaching corresponds with the disciplines that come into your life if you are celebrating these 5 days every month. So this is a process, again, of shaking loose of all of those early moments that you were identified with, shaking them loose so that you can move ahead, so that your soul can evolve and let go of all the past. So today is the actual full moon of Capricorn. In Mountain Standard Time, it takes place at 9:54, so that's tonight. And then if you live on the East Coast, it's much later. It's about 2 or 3 hours difference. And then if you live in Europe, you're going to have to get up in the morning early. Okay. Anyway, but in Mountain Standard Time, we're fortunate. This is a very convenient time, 9:54 in the evening, to really, if you meditate at the exact full moon time. The keynote is Lost Am I in light supernal, yet on that light I turn my back. So I'll be talking about that today. But a keynote is like the theme that seems to radiate through the energy that each full moon gives to us as a gift. So the gift or the theme that Capricorn is giving us, if we are spiritually evolving, that means that we have 2 keynotes, the keynote for the common person, and I was thinking about this actually on the way over here this morning, that the keynote for the common person, to understand it, you can open up the newspaper, you can go to your grocery store and buy magazines on astrology. You can learn astrology if you go on forums and Google on the internet, and it will tell you all about yourself, all about if you're a Taurus or if you're a Leo or if you're a Capricorn, and it'll puff you up to say, you know, how great you are, and all these energies at the personality or more common level. What we talk about here is the esoteric side. And the esoteric has to do with your soul. It has to do with your advancing consciousness. To learn about the esoteric side of these constellations is not so easy to find. So we're giving you this gift. See, another gift free. We're giving you this wonderful gift to learn about the depth of who you are and the depth of what you can become, so that you really can become somebody. And when you become somebody, nobody can rip that away from you. People can laugh at you, they can say you don't know who you are, they can say, I've done more than you, I've accomplished more than you. Who cares? I don't care. You know, I don't care if you've accomplished more than I have. I know that I am somebody. And that means that my soul is living its purpose. And this purpose is aligned with the future incarnations. When my soul comes back in and continues to evolve, I know that that soul is somebody. See? Why? Because I'm living the purpose of being a soul, an awakened conscious soul. Okay, now Saturn. This is a fun thing to learn about astrology, particularly esoteric astrology. First of all, the exoteric of astrology is that the planet Saturn moved into the sign of Sagittarius December 23rd. This is a big deal. It's going to be there roughly until, well, specifically until December 19th, 2017. So Saturn is going to be radiating the energy of ray 3 and a few other rays I'm not going to get into this morning. But what is so valuable to know is that if you are one of those people that want to become somebody, that really want to become a conscious living soul, these 3 years, from December 23rd of 2014 to December 19th of 2017, you're going to have this tremendous opportunity to take giant steps in your spiritual evolution. Now, if you're making notes here, here's the actual movement of Saturn in Sagittarius. And the reason I'm talking about Saturn, is I'm reminded, is that Saturn is a planet that rules the sign of Capricorn. It also co-rules the sign of Aquarius. So Capricorn and Aquarius are taking on predominant roles in the whole life of humanity, not just if you're a Capricorn or not just if you are an Aquarian, but it will affect all of humanity. So here are the dates of the movement of Saturn. So it entered Sagittarius on the 23rd, and it will creep through a little of the first few degrees of Sagittarius up through June 14th. 2015, then it begins to retrograde, moves back into Scorpio for a while until September 17th. And September 17th, now it finally steps into Sagittarius, and it will stay there until December 19th of 2017. Now, if you have mutable signs from 1 to 5 degrees from December 23rd through June 14th. Now let's get the years here correct. Okay, December 23rd, 2014, right? It's going to move up through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees of Sagittarius until June 14th. Then it turns around and goes back in to Scorpio for a while. And then on the 17th of September, it goes back into Sag, and then it stays there until December 19th, 2017. So these first 5 degrees, if you have 5 degrees in mutable signs, meaning Gemini and Virgo and Sagittarius and Pisces, you'll be strongly, really strongly affected by Saturn. And I'll tell you a little bit later what that means, to be affected. Okay, now in medieval astrology, Saturn was known as the greater malefic. They're all good. But things have moved ahead. See, that was a moment in time. And so some people still see and understand and translate Saturn in its old age form, you know, when it was considered a malefic. But planets evolve the way people evolve, the way our soul evolves. But back in the day in medieval astrology, Saturn's position in your birth chart was thought to bring ruin and misery. Saturn was considered malefic also, actually still is, in Vedic astrology, representing the principle of the inescapable and the unchangeable. You're just stuck. However, things are changing with Saturn and its effect. Many people on this planet, and this is the reason why, it's because many people on this planet are waking up. To wake up means that they're taking charge of their lives. You know, this is a phrase I hear so many people say, well, the planet's waking up. People are waking up. And I've always wondered, well, what does it mean to be awake? It sounds great. It's something that I'd want to be. But what does it really mean? What it means is that they are now taking responsibility for their own lives. They're also taking responsibility for their own thoughts, for their thoughts and feelings and actions. And most especially taking responsibility for one another, for the life of their family and group, for the life of the nation and humanity, and also for the life of the planet. This is what it means to be waking up or to be awake. These are the first stages, just the first stages of being awakened. As you go into the next stage and the next stage and so forth, you begin to think, and you begin to think consciously. Let me say that word again, consciously. It is then your thinking life and action life changes for the good. Okay, this is what it means to be awake. You have there's so much I would love to share with you about this, but if you're conscious, you're going to be thinking about it the rest of the day. You know, am I awake? What does it mean to be aware of my thoughts, to take responsibility for my thoughts? If you have a growing sense of responsibility, it means you are living a life of freedom and liberation from all of those moments that you were initially identified with as you were growing up. And what happens for those of us who know and believe and experience reincarnation, we take these moments from one life into the next life, into the next, into the next. And this is why we have so many triggers. And these triggers are called glamours. And these triggers are called illusions. And these triggers are called Maya. So we want to have an increased or growing sense of responsibility so that we are no longer a victim of our life or a victim of circumstances, where we no longer dwell in the past. You no longer dwell in the past. That's a big statement. It is at this stage in life that Saturn now takes on a new role in your life as an awakened soul. As long as the person is bound to earth and to the earthly ways of living, that person is earthbound. Being earthbound means he is living a mechanical life, the life of an automaton. In other words, sleepwalking. Some people call it the walking dead. In the book Esoteric Astrology, the Tibetan master tells us that Saturn, and this is a quote, is the planet of discipleship. See how we've moved from the medieval astrology now into esoteric astrology and the present time. The Tibetan says Saturn is now the planet of discipleship and of opportunity. It is exceedingly active today, presenting to the world disciple. Well, it used to be a big deal if you saw a world disciple. Now, today, all disciples are world disciples because of communication, the internet, being able to fly from this country into third world countries. That's what makes the disciple today the world disciple, if you are traveling purposefully for the upliftment and inspiration of humanity. Now you're a world disciple. So Saturn presents to the world disciple those difficult situations and crises which will involve free choice, discriminative pioneering, wise response and correct decision, thus bringing about the destruction of that which hinders, without relinquishing of any true values of which humanity may be aware. Okay, now I've written on the board, which you may or may not be able to see. I couldn't see it at all when I went back to my chair. What is it? So I'm going to read it off, but if you, I know with our webinar people, they can zoom the camera in on the whiteboard. Here we go. Rays. First of all, you know, Richard talked a little bit about the rays in his introduction this morning, introductory reading about Capricorn. But this is how I like to think about the rays. We think about the rays of the sun. We see the rays of the sun. We feel the rays of the sun. And when there's no sun, we feel the lack of the rays, the warmth of the sun. We know that there are 7 rays. These rays have to do with psychology and spirituality. And certain full moons brings forth the radiation of these various rays. Now, for Capricorn, we have the 3 rays, rays 1, 3, and 7. Now, this is the way these rays work. You say, how can one sign, in this case Capricorn, have 3 rays? And do they impact us all at one time? No, it's like, I mean, yes and no. It's like a prism. The sun, you know, ignites the prism. In this case, it's igniting 3 rays, starting with the ray 1. And I'll explain what ray 1 and 3 and 7 is in just a moment. But so it's like the impact of this radiation begins with the power ray, ray 1. Then it is filtered through the ray of intelligence, which is ray 3. So we have 1 flowing into 3 and they mix together. And then 1 and 3 flow through the ray 7, which is the ray of manifestation. So all the influences of ray 1 and 3 manifest through ray 7. And that's why I see it as a prism. So we have Capricorn again, it channels ray 1, 3, and 7. Now these rays have different categories for Capricorn. The ray 1 of Capricorn corresponds to the monad of the sign of Capricorn. Ray 3 corresponds to the soul of Capricorn, and ray 7 corresponds to the personality life of Capricorn. Then we have the planet Saturn and the planet Venus. Saturn takes on a particularly important role, more so than with other signs, because it has double duty with Capricorn. So it is the exoteric ruler and the esoteric ruler of Capricorn, which is ray 3. Saturn transmits ray 3. So we have Capricorn that channels ray 3, Saturn twice channels ray 3, so we've got a humongous influence with ray 3, and this is why I've written on the board all this data about ray 3. It's so wonderful because it's so well defined with Capricorn. And then the hierarchical ruler is ray 5, because Venus is a planet that corresponds with the hierarchical ruler. Okay, ray 1 is the ray of politics. So that means if you are a politician, if your professional life is that of a politician, you're going to have ray 1 predominant in your nature. It doesn't mean you're handling the energy correctly or appropriately, but you have the opportunity through your field of politics to express ray 1. Also, anyone who has leadership abilities, responsibilities, also brings in this ray 1. So they have to dance the politics of their field of operation, like if you're an educator and you have you're a leader in education, then you're going to deal with the politics of education. See how that works? Okay. So ray 1 is the ray of politics, and it's related to will, energy, and leadership. Now, with Capricorn, this will energy is going to filter through and work through the ray 3, the ray of active intelligence. And it all manifests through ray 7. So a lot can be accomplished. Our politicians, they better get back into Congress, and they better start meeting and start moving some bills. Now, of course, this is just, I'm talking about the United States, but it affects world leaders all over the globe can really take some decisive action and make good decisions during the time of Capricorn. It will manifest. This is the field that's going to be affected. So ray 7 will bring about these conditions upon the physical plane, which will enable the life aspect to manifest their goals. Oh, there's so much to share here. I haven't even gotten to the real good stuff. And I thought this was going to be a short talk this morning. I know. Once you get going, it's just like a flood, you know, it just doesn't stop. Saturn. Okay, I'm going to skip through a couple of things here and go to Saturn again. Saturn, according to esoteric astrology, is a sacred planet. Because it is a sacred planet, it is going to inspire us. What is it going to inspire in us? Right human relations and goodwill in 3 fields: in economics and organization, in science, and in philosophy, communication, and intelligence. It also is known, Saturn is also known as the planet of the disciple. Saturn inspires conflict, but the progressive, advancing Capricorn person or Capricorn conscious person will react to this energy in different ways. So what does it mean to be a Capricorn conscious person? It means that you're those 12 tubes that Richard was talking about. One of those tubes is absorbing the energy of Capricorn. So you may be an Aquarian, but during Capricorn energy, you're mixing Aquarius with Capricorn, and you become that Capricorn conscious person. See how that works? Am I getting too abstract? No, okay, good. Venus, I said, was a hierarchical ruler of Capricorn. Venus is going to inspire prepared disciples and initiates to approach each situation from a scientific point of view and at a soul level. This means yourself. You know, if you are under the influence of the esoteric ruler of Capricorn, you are going to approach things in the scientific point of view from the level of your soul. But you must be soul infused, so there's a little catch there. You must be soul infused to be influenced by the rays of Venus, the ray of Venus, while the sun is moving through the constellation of Capricorn. So, ray 3. The esoteric ruler of ray 3 is Saturn. It is a soul ray of Capricorn, and now it is on stage because it's just moved into another sign. So Saturn is extremely important to us. So I'm going to go through the more practical side of what a ray means and how it will influence your consciousness. We have virtues, we have vices, and we have glamours. So let's start with the good, which is the virtues. The virtues of ray 3 is a clear intellect, ability to see ahead and plan, business acumen. This is something that an element that may surprise some of you. Some people think you have to be a ray 7 person, a ray 7 personality, or a ray 7 mind, or a ray 7 soul to have good business acumen. That's not true. It's ray 3 to have good business acumen. Practical efficiency is another virtue of ray 3. Discrimination and selectivity. This is ray 3 we're talking about. Adaptability and material success. These are just a few of the virtues related to ray 3. We don't see these virtues manifesting very strongly in ray 3 people. However, as they begin to disidentify with those moments that create triggers in their life, these virtues are going to, it's like the clouds clearing. And they're going to begin to express these virtues in their professional life and in their soul life. Now, the vices. This is most easily seen with people who have ray 3. Over-evaluation of objective things. And, as I mentioned earlier, material success. Over-absorption in detail. Have you ever been around somebody who has this vice of over-absorption in detail? For example, if your boss has this ray 3 strongly in their nature and you don't, it'll drive you crazy. You will live under a lot of stress because you're not that kind of person. So You'll have to work on it or get a different boss. Okay, deviousness, self-centeredness, materialism, excessive activity, and restlessness. You will find people that can't stay home, people that can't have a 9-to-5 job, people that have to be on the go all the time, until they drop. They have Ray 3. See the vice of Ray 3, or the effect of Ray 3 that turns into a vice because of their personality type. Now, glamours. These are so easy to identify. The glamour of being busy. If you hear yourself telling your friends all the time, I'm so busy, I am so busy, I am so busy, you have no idea. You know that this is a glamour that they're working with. Okay, active scheming is another one. Good intentions that are basically selfish. Hey, most people do have good intentions, but you want to look at the underlying fundamental impulse going on behind that good intention. And in this case, because it's a glamour, it's selfish intention. The next point is being a spider at the center. If you find somebody that likes to gather people around them and then all they do is talk about themselves, they've got this glamour. You're all so quiet. You're thinking, is this me? Do I do this? Spider at the center. The other two glamours, one is devious and continuous manipulation. And the last one that I have on my list is self-importance. From the standpoint of knowing, from the standpoint of efficient. See, my efficiency leads me to let you know how important I am. See, that's how this glamour works. Okay, and that's just Ray 3. But I'm pointing it out so that, you know, if you have the courage to see these things in yourself, then you can begin to replace them with the virtues. During the days of Capricorn, we should strive to ponder on the opportunities Capricorn energy brings to the growth and development of your discipleship qualities, the qualities of a mature spirituality. We are asked to think about those advancing members of humanity who are in the process of developing deep skills of discrimination and detachment and harmlessness and wisdom and a loving will. We are asked to acknowledge those who are most consciously bringing qualities of the divine self into expression that represent the peak, the growing point of the evolutionary process. In some way, in some small measure, we ourselves will be in the process of developing these skills. So we can meditate from a framework of what is real, function from a framework of what is real. See, not imaginary, not that pseudo image that we have of ourselves, but from the point of real, rather than imaginary, from the point of ideas and ideals about what a more lighted consciousness might be like. Discipleship themes for the energy of Capricorn have to do with light and illumination, initiation, transfiguration. These are mountaintop experiences. Desmond Tutu, in writing about transformation and transfiguration in his book, God Has a Dream, said, "If God is transfiguring the world, you may ask, why does he need our help? The answer is quite simple. We are the agents of transformation that God uses to transfigure his world. See, we are the hands and feet of the Most High. In the Bible, when God wanted the children of Israel to be freed from bondage in Egypt, he could have done it on his own, but he wanted a human partner. We often forget that the patriarchs and matriarchs were flesh and blood humans. But the Bible reminds us of this repeatedly. This is what Desmond Tutu was saying. These people, with all their flaws, were able to be God's heroic partners. So God went to Moses and said something along these lines. This is God. Okay. Hi, Moses. Hi, God. Moses, I want you to go to Pharaoh and tell him, let my people go. Go to the Pharaoh and tell him, let my people go. Moses was thoroughly flabbergasted. What? Me? What have I done now? Go to Pharaoh? Please, God, no, you cannot be serious. Forgetting that God knew everything. Moses pleaded, God, you know, I stammer. How can I address the Pharaoh? Fortunately, God did not accept Moses' first negative reactions. Disciples and members of the new group of world servers are those, among others, who can be used as the hands and feet of hierarchy to help in the process of transfiguration. When we think of the progression of transfiguration in relationship to Capricorn, we think about the climb to the top of the mountain. Many who are climbing to the top talk about the suffering that they experience along the way. They recognized that their suffering was in reality the spiritual path of transformation and subsequently transfiguration. When we have a deep understanding of our role to play in hierarchy's transfiguration of the world, it is then we recognized why hierarchy needs the hands and feet of those who are striving on the path of discipleship. Those who are living lives of sacrificial service, of harmlessness, of continuing perfection, are the ones who become true partners with the Master, hierarchy, and the new group of world servers. So this is what the keynote for the disciple means. Lost am I in light supernal, yet on that light I turn my back. See how clear it is now?